Am I the asshole here? My wife went out with a recently single friend. I'm in a weird situation, and I'm beginning to feel like I was in the wrong because of my wife's response, or lack thereof. Let me begin. Last Saturday, my wife went out with a friend who was recently divorced. Anyway, she invited my wife out to a brewery for a fundraiser, and she had told me that she would be gone from about 4 to 8. She took our youngest to their house to play with her friend's children, who were the same age, and their teenage daughter was going to watch them. Fast forward to 9-ish, and I haven't heard from her. I know they left the brewery, and apparently decided to go bar hopping to find her a man, quote-unquote. Okay, not a big deal to me. I'm comfortable with her being a wingman anytime. At around 11, I text her to see how it's going. Again, looking for a man for X. I send back the laugh emoji and a thumbs up. Crickets until 1 a.m. She says my son is asleep and she's sleeping there and she's being the designated driver. I doubt that, but my wife is pretty good at pacing herself. At this point, I find it really odd that she wouldn't just wake up our kid and come home at 1 a.m. So I get curious and check to see where her car is. It's a newer car, so the app shows the location. They're at another bar until about 1:30. This is where it gets uncomfortable for me. They leave and go to a random house, nowhere near her friend's house or anything. I find it a little odd. Her car doesn't leave from that point on. At around 2:30, I decide that I need to do some recon. It's about a 20-minute drive, but away from town. I drive out there, and there's a house and a barn, and clearly a party going on. I get out and get close enough that I can hear people and music, but not close enough to really see because it was a gravel driveway and I didn't want to make noise. So I sit around for about an hour deciding how I should handle the situation. Do I wait until Sunday and ask her how everything went last night and what time they got in and see if she lies to me? Or do I confront the situation? Around 3:30, I decide that I need to just drive up and see what happens. I pull up with my lights off, and nobody notices because of the music. I peek into the barn, and there's a camper trailer with no lights on. I go over to the house, and I see my wife's friend and 2 guys talking. I peek into the window, and nobody else is visible. I walk in the front door and say that I'm looking for my wife. The 2 guys look surprised, and one guy introduces himself. I was happy it didn't get confrontational. My wife's friend immediately walks out and takes me over to a different camper trailer and walks in and shuts the door, and I quickly hop in there and my wife is sleeping on the bed. So we go outside, and I'm like, I just had to make sure my wife is safe, but explain that I don't think it's okay that a married person would meet random guys and go to their house. There's some other dialogue, but for the sake of time, I'll spare some of that. But basically, I peace out and just say that I'm most upset that they would leave my child unaccompanied all night, and if they wanted to go bar hopping all night, I wouldn't really care, but I don't think married couples should be in a position like this. They spent the whole night there. The next morning at 7:30 a.m., my wife texts me and says they're at my wife's friend's house. So she comes home at around 2 p.m. on Sunday, and I walk in with my other kids, and she's like, "Are you still mad at me for falling asleep?" I didn't say anything to her, and we had a sports barbecue that I ended up being at until about 9 p.m. with my kids, and she was asleep when I got home. I got up early this morning and went to work. Am I the asshole here, or am I too crazy for confronting the situation? Part of the reason I decided to drive out there is that in June 2024, my wife was on a work trip to New York City, and she had a stroke in her hotel room, and her co-workers called me at 6 a.m. the next morning to ask if I'd heard from my wife, and I said no. I tracked her through Find My iPhone, and she was at the hospital. Her family has a history of strokes. Her sister at 35, and her brother at 33, and her dad at 40. So I'm cautious of her going out without me. In the comments, Valuable Doubt says, "Not the asshole. This was extremely irresponsible of her. She lied about being with your kid and where she was. Going to a rando's barn isn't safe. Leaving a teen to watch your kid overnight without warning is not safe." This right here. She threw away your trust when she lied about her location and being with your child. 100% this for me. Within reason, I don't care what you do, as long as I'm in the loop about it. She lied to you about where she was. She could have been hurt, assaulted, or cheating. You are not the asshole. People are quick to blame the single friend, but the wife could have said no, this is not appropriate. Not the asshole. According to your post history though, she's checked out emotionally. Be the asshole and beat her to the punch. Start detaching and planning your escape route. Change is urgently needed. OP says, trust me, 4 kids and I do love her. Never have not loved her. I just wish she wanted me back. Oof. Chaos Analyst replies, she won't love you back. Leave. Start planning. Because it's going to be worse if she leads. Based on a previous comment you made about your dead bedroom, and your wife is out bar hopping and sleeping at other men's houses, I would say she's most likely cheating. She's not acting like a wife. Either she changes, or put her out and find a partner who doesn't act like she has been. OP says, I agree. This one really hit home for me because this is what my mum did to my dad over the course of a decade, and I'm pretty emotional right now. Rocklam says, quote, she's purposely getting into precarious situations. While she may not initiate cheating, she may be receptive to it. User Loop-Sided Ad posted this, and I think it needs to be reiterated. Oh, I did not see this one coming. It always hurts to see people bring up, more details like that because they go snooping into the OP's profile. And yeah, I don't really know what you say about this one. It sounds like, she has checked out of the relationship. OP doesn't want to let go, understandably. But man, you gotta do it for the kids. The kids are not going to be happy seeing 2 parents that are not in love, that are slowly falling apart, that are slowly falling out of love. I don't think you're the asshole here for what you did, but, when you bring that part of it up, the dead bedroom, the relationship falling apart, maybe you'd be the asshole to yourself if you didn't leave as fast as you can and have a healthy co-parenting relationship for your kids. She's an asshole for dipping out on the child. She's an asshole for sleeping at another man's barn. Absolutely. Everything she did here was wrong. She should know that. You should make her aware of the fact that you hate everything she's done. She's a piece of shit for doing that. But what you do from here is what counts, and you need to be thinking of yourself and your kids first and foremost. And now, onto the update. We had about 10 to 15 minutes to talk before I had to go to a meeting. I asked flat out if she had had sex, and she said no, but then made a snarky comment of, but I easily could have. That completely derailed me. She said her friend knew whose house it was and knew the guys, and that there was another married couple there. She said both guys that I talked to knew that she was married. She said they were friends she's known for a while, but has a crush on one. Clarifying, my wife's friend supposedly knows them, and my wife's friend has a crush on one. It took a while for me to get an apology. Not gonna lie, this sucks bad. She almost has no remorse. She admitted that it was a stupid thing to do, but felt like she couldn't leave her friend and come home. I said that's ridiculous. You should have grabbed our kid at 1 to 2 and drove home. She said she'll never do it again. I brought up if I did that, how would it look? That's basically the only way I got an apology or acknowledgement that it was a bad idea. But she also deflected that because my mum cheated, that I was comparing her to my mum. I said no. I'm not accusing you of anything, but that I'm sure that this is how it starts out. I got home little before 9 p.m. and she's asleep in our room with 2 of our kids. Update 2. I was uneasy last night, so we had a late night discussion. She went through everything they did in the evening, said they went to a bar with a younger crowd, and at that point her friend wanted to meet up with a guy that she, my wife's friend, had a crush on at another bar. My wife said that she didn't have a drink and was talking to an older gentleman like in his 80s, and he was talking about his grandkids. She said her friend was going to Uber with the other 2 guys that she, my wife's friend, supposedly knew to the barn/house where a married couple lives. This seems like an odd thing and doesn't really add up to me. My wife can be a yes person and said because she was sober that she offered to drive them out there to make sure that her friend was okay. She said they sat around and talked for a bit, and then she asked the owner of the house, the married woman, if she could lay down for a bit, and that's what led her to the trailer. Again, odd to me. She said she wasn't planning on staying long, but long enough to drive home. To be honest, she does have narcolepsy, and when she needs a nap, she literally cannot stay awake. I told her she should have thrown them in an Uber and paid for it. She was more apologetic and assured me that I wasn't crazy for showing up or being upset by her behavior and decision-making. I still plan on talking to her friend to see if she'll give me the same details to make sure that it adds up. That night when I confronted her, she assured me that nothing happened as well, and she did seem somewhat sincere about that. As for the relationship, those that have done some research are aware of our dead bedroom situation, which has gone on for a few years, to say the least. We've been married for 18.5 years, and she has literally never done something close to this, and she's not a regular drinker or beer drinker at all. Because some of her health issues, she literally doesn't go out without me or someone who knows some of the issues that she could have, and she can't drive very far on her own. Thanks to a lot of people for their support, advice, and encouragement. I do need to focus on myself and my mental health. I'll let you know if there are more developments. In the comments, My Dirty Alt says, "So she was sober at 1 a.m. when she lied to you about where she was and knowing what she was actually going to do? I don't see how this makes things any better. Have you asked to see her phone to see what she's been saying through this whole thing? Yeah, I don't fully believe her bullshit at this point. Though I also question so much about the first post that I'm not fully on board with this one." OP says, "No, I haven't seen her phone. Should have been the first thing I did, maybe because I'm actually scared to find some truth to the unknown." My Dirty Alt replies, "You can't take her at her word at this point, so if she hopes to regain your trust, she should willingly hand it over. You might find corroborating details there, or not. Be sure to check the deleted messages, call logs, and location history as well." Necessary Tap says, "There's still too many holes in this story for me, but you're the one who has to make your own choices. I hope it works out, but I'm afraid that you still don't know the full truth. Her lie about where she was and the convenient explanation sounds like a well-thought-out, rehearsed story. My guess is the friend will give you the same story, almost word for word. Don't look for confirmation of the truth from her, only confirmation of your wife's story." OP replies, "There's significant holes in what they're doing, but for the sake of characters, I couldn't put everything down, so I tried to highlight some of the major points. But not gonna lie, there was a point where they actually came back into our town and sat in a parking lot and then left again. Like they were heading home and then made other plans." Necessary Tap replies, "You have to ask yourself why she lied if she did nothing wrong enough to merit the deception. She lied for a reason, and it's not as innocent as she's letting on." Yeah, it's hard. And there's OP's story, there's the wife's story, there's the friend's story, and then somewhere in between that, there is the truth. But I don't know what to say besides I don't trust the wife, and her saying, if I wanted to cheat, I could've. I would've, I might've. Why would you say that when you're trying to reassure your husband that you didn't cheat? That's not something that you say. That's very weird. Too many holes in this story. I'm upset on OP's behalf. I wish him nothing but the best in dealing with this situation. Good luck to him. You know, when the time comes, I hope that it is a graceful breakup, because I genuinely don't see this continuing. Like, he can continue the dead bedroom and the dead relationship if he'd like to, but for all intents and purposes, from my point of view, it's time to cut your losses and break up with her. You're only going to continue to get lies from her, because how can you trust anything she says at this point going forward? I'm sorry that you're dealing with this, OP. I wish you nothing but good luck going forward from this, and please let us know how this all ends. Thank you. Our next post is by user Additional Whereas, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole for booking to go away the same weekend as my boyfriend, leaving him to look after our daughter? My boyfriend and I have a 3-year-old daughter together. He used to go away very occasionally by himself before we had her, and this has increased quite a lot since she was born. Not for long periods, just a night or two. He also visits his daughter from a previous relationship, which is fine, but I'm mentioning it because it is relevant later. He is notoriously bad for informing me when he is going away. He always claims that he told me and I forgot. There have been times where he arranged to see his daughter on weekends when plans have already been made. These were all pre-COVID. Once I had arranged for my mum to babysit for our anniversary and for us to go out. Another time I was meant to be attending a baby shower and I needed him to watch our daughter. Another time I had arranged to go to the theatre with a friend. His daughter lives quite far away, so he wouldn't have made it back in time to watch our daughter. He was fully aware of all of these plans and claimed that he forgot when arranging to see his daughter. I didn't ask him to cancel, as it's not fair on her, so I had to make other arrangements in each case. Obviously, he's been going away less because of restrictions. As soon as they eased, he's been going away. I have never had a night away for our daughter. I had made a couple of plans, but each time a lockdown happened, so obviously they got cancelled. He says he encourages me to go away, and he is not stopping me. I've tried to explain that his going away so much does stop me, as someone needs to look after our child. Not comfortable for either of my parents to watch her just yet, in case of any risk. In the summer, once restrictions are lifted, I've arranged to see my friend for a couple of days. I told him about it, and he said that I couldn't do it on that date because he was going on a cycle holiday. I told him he hasn't told me anything about this, and yet again, he claims he did and that I forgot. He asked me to cancel it, saying that I could go to my friends anytime. I could rearrange it, but feel I shouldn't have to. He could also rearrange camping. So I've been refusing, and he is now in a sulk. Am I the arsehole for not rearranging my plans? Edit. I had gotten a family calendar when the issue of him double booking seeing his daughter arose. The problem is, he will only write in it if I nag him to do so, or he will say that he will do it later and not to treat him like a child. In the comments, Dale Cooper's wife asks, Info. I don't understand this. He visits his other kid, okay, but what about all the other times? Where is he going off to? He doesn't sound like a good partner, I'm sorry. Who doesn't communicate their plans to their significant other, especially when they're supposed to be parenting a child together? OP replies, mainly cycling, either by himself or with a friend, and they camp overnight or to his friend's house for the weekend, where they cycle, barbecue, and pub. You Cannot Be For Real too says, sure sounds like your boyfriend has a nice fun life. Thank goodness you've sacrificed any of yours so he can always do all these nice things. Also, thank goodness you care about him being able to do fun things and enjoy his friends and life. Can you imagine what his life would be like if his partner didn't care at all about him being happy and experiencing those enjoyments? Oh, that's right. You can imagine, because that's the life that you are living. Info. What's he like as a partner otherwise? What's he like as a dad to your 3-year-old? OP replies, he loves our daughter to pieces, but is very much for the fun stuff. He has started helping a bit more. For the last year, he also has been helping with part-time and bedtime. Before that, it was just me doing those things. She wakes up regularly in the night, and it is always me tending to her. He says it's not his fault he's a heavy sleeper. I've had to wake him before when she's been up from 1 a.m. and not settling back down, and I have work in the morning so I can get a couple of hours of sleep before work. Lilu Lei asks, who watches your daughter while the two of you work? And OP says, she's at nursery. Lilu Lei says, I'm seeing where you say you bought a calendar but he doesn't use it. I think personally what I would do if I were in your position is put my foot down. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. If he forces you to break plans because of something he planned without telling you or using the calendar, then you need to tell him that he has to reschedule. No discussion, that's it. Stand up for yourself. Irish19C says, with everything here, it doesn't sound like he's a good partner. His gaslighting you about his plans is not good and you need to address it. Maybe a shared calendar where he puts the time so at least there's proof, but your biggest issue is that he doesn't respect you. Being a parent and a partner is a two-way street, and everything here is flowing one way, not the asshole. Snow Angels says he won't even mark the calendar according to OP's edit. Throw the man away, collect child support, and get your own nanny, OP. Not the asshole. Well, then her response should be, if it's not in the calendar, then it won't happen. She should fill out all of her plans and say, too bad. Cancel yours. You weren't adulting, and you didn't want me to nag you, so now you have to watch our child while I go do what was planned for. Well, that's my response to my teenager. We got a shared calendar app when she got a job and car. She learned really quickly that if it isn't on the calendar, it doesn't exist. If a forgetful 16-year-old can sort it out, there's no reason that a grown man can't. Not the asshole, but the boyfriend sure sounds like one. Yeah, look, this definitely sounds like weaponized incompetence. And weaponized ignorance of the highest order. I agree. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. He can't keep pulling this bullshit. It's not fair to you. There really needs to be some solid boundaries and solid ground rules set that he is going to respect and agree to, or else you might want to start questioning your place in his life or his place in your life. Does he deserve to be there if he's going to continually disrespect you like this? This is not a fair and equitable situation, and I'd be surprised if it lasts, personally. And now, onto the update. I'm not sure if anyone really wanted an update, but the situation came to a head, so I just wanted to vent. Thank you for everyone who commented. So I had a word with him about the family calendar and people's suggestions about if it's not on the calendar then it doesn't exist, making sure my time away was on there. He seemed to go along with it and said that he would reschedule his cycling trip. Great, I thought. Until it came to the morning of the trip. My boyfriend often gets up super early, and I roll over and go back to sleep, so thought nothing of it when he was up early. I heard the door go, but I just presumed that he was taking out the bins or something. When I woke up, I couldn't find him, and the car was gone. I tried to phone him, no answer. Some of his stuff had gone. I asked my neighbor to check his garage for my boyfriend's bike, which is where he keeps it, and it had gone. Confused and quietly seething at this point, try his phone a couple of more times, but I get nothing. I phone my friend at this point saying I can't find him and will probably miss my train. About midday, I get a phone call. He had gone on his trip. He tells me to check the calendar. He had typexed out my writing and written in his trip. I say a few choice words to him, and he basically says that it's my fault as I should have gotten up earlier. So I told him that he won, and he's now free to go on as many cycle trips as he wants now. Friend suggested taking the kids to the seaside. Her son is a similar age. We spent the next day at the beach and had a nice time. I told my boyfriend not to come back. He says I'm overreacting, but I am done. Update. He came back on Sunday. Unfortunately, can't change the locks due to renting. Came back like nothing had really happened. I calmly asked him to leave as our daughter was about. He said he wasn't going anywhere and he will watch her next week so I could go away. I said I couldn't believe he's completely missed the point of what he had done. I called my brother and asked him to pick us up. We've been staying there until I can sort out the practical parts of the split. The ex has called non-stop and turned up at my brother's house where brother turned him away. He has finally apologized. I said I am still done. I just don't have the energy or the will anymore. In the comments, in response to an info request about who owns their residence, we rent, both names on the lease. I'm hoping he'll do the sensible thing and stay with his friend, but unfortunately, the reality is that I can't kick him out and change locks. He is due back on the Sunday. Little updates in the comments from OP. I'm back at the flat now with my daughter. X is staying with a friend who has a spare room. X is helping out with the rent a bit until I can find somewhere more affordable. Last 2 weeks, he has had on a Saturday, and he has turned up. He is giving me child support at the moment, which we are just doing directly between us. He seems to think that he's just giving me space, despite the fact that I've told him that I am done. My priority at the moment is making sure my daughter is as settled as possible. It's been very difficult for her not having him about as much as she used to. Another comment from her says, still at the flat until the lease is up. X is still at a friend's as far as I know. He's started seeing someone else, and visits with our daughter have become a little sporadic. But it's only been a month, and he only sees her once a week anyway, so I'll give it a little bit longer, and if it keeps messing around, I think I may have to go to court. I don't want to stop her seeing her dad, but I also don't want him constantly letting her down. And on to the next update. I feel broken. I reconciled with my ex, and he blew our holiday fund on a strip club. I, 33 female, broke up with my boyfriend, 35 male, of 8 years, about 9 months ago. We have a 4-year-old daughter together. He was always leaving on bike rides and overriding any plans that I might have had. The last straw was him leaving early in the morning to go on a cycle holiday when I had explicitly said that I was going away for the weekend and he needed to care for our daughter. So I left him. We co-parented together well for a while, and then he started seeing someone and became disinterested in our daughter. Fast forward to 3 months ago, he started to show interest again in seeing our daughter. He was single again. I tried to keep it purely about her, but I gave in. I let myself be sucked in with his crappy promises. I agreed to start dating him again. I'll be honest, my heart had broken the last 6 months for my daughter, and if I had a chance to make it work, I felt I owed it to her. We said we would go on holiday together, so he started putting some money in a jar kept in my flat. This weekend, he said he would take it to book a holiday and put the rest in himself, which was about £300. I didn't see him after he left the flat. Still living separately, so I didn't think anything of it. One of his friend's girlfriends texts me this morning and told me they'd all been on a stag do. Her boyfriend had mentioned that my ex was dropping a lot of money in there. I confronted him and he admitted to using the holiday money. I just don't know what to do. We are done. Forever done. But I just don't know how I'll move past this. In the comments, Galaxian Warrior says, I can't believe you actually got back with him. You've been burned time and time again. He only took interest in your daughter after he broke up with the person he was seeing. He's not a good father to her. That's all you need to know. OP replies, I feel like an idiot. He kept saying how irrational it was to leave him in the first place over something so minor. How my stubbornness was affecting our daughter. Finally came to the realization that I was setting up my daughter for a poor image of how you should be treated. I want better for her. Currently just in contact with his mum, and if he wants to see her, it will be via her. At least for the time being. And now, on to the next update, titled, Am I the asshole for not giving my ex our old baby stuff? So I was with my ex for about 8 years. We share a daughter together. For some background, the last year has been a difficult one. We broke up after he snuck out on a cycling holiday when I was due to go away with a friend. Stupidly started dating him again. I had insisted that we go slowly. We were putting away some cash to go on a holiday as a family, which he ended up taking out of my flat and blowing in a strip club. So we fully ended about 2 months ago. Now it turns out he's going to be a father again. From what I can gather, the woman is past the 12-week mark. When I was dropping off my daughter for the weekend, he mentioned the pregnancy and whether he could have the baby stuff that I had from when our daughter was little, that we were saving for a potential second. I told him he's welcome to take anything that he bought, which is the grand total of a novelty baby grow, a gown, I'm not sure what they meant by that, and a hat. Obviously now I don't need the stuff, and I don't know if I'm being petty, but I told him no, absolutely not. He hasn't even seemed to acknowledge the fact that he got her pregnant when we were trying to get back together, but that's a battle that I just can't get the energy to fight. My ex-mother-in-law has remained pretty neutral, and I have a pretty good relationship with her, but she's been putting a bit of pressure on me to give him the stuff. Am I the asshole for not even considering passing the baby stuff on to him? In the comments, Nico09 says, Not the asshole, don't do it. He absolutely does not deserve it. Did you ever get the $300 back that he stole? OP replies, No. If I'm honest, I didn't really talk to him after that. Anything to do with our daughter goes via his mum. I want to try and maintain my composure for my daughter. I couldn't cope with his bullshit excuses anymore. He doesn't seem to think that he owes me anything. And now, onto the latest update. I'm not sure if anyone will read this, but I wanted to place my thoughts and update anyone who was interested. I found it quite therapeutic posting on Reddit. My ex had a baby boy. Finally got the son that he wanted. I ended up giving him the very few items that he bought for our daughter, which mainly consisted of novelty hats and novelty baby grows. Oh, I've just Googled and realized a baby grow is, what they wear. My bad. Sorry guys, I haven't had a baby before. Unfortunately, he has little to do with our daughter. He has let her down many times since the new baby came. I won't close the door as I want to be able to hold my head high and tell her that I never stopped him seeing her, even though a big part of me wants to tell him to do one. It breaks my heart that she gets so excited and he lets her down. I've toyed with going to court to make him fight for visitation. I just don't think he cares enough. On a positive note, my daughter is very happy, and my brother and his wife are very involved, so she can see what a healthy relationship looks like. I'm uninterested in meeting anyone at the moment, but maybe one day I'll dip my foot back in. I also got a promotion at work, so I'm in a much happier place now. In the comments, Quicksilver says, Me. Oh, I remember her. I was so happy she broke up with him. A few updates later, are you kidding me? I was so worried one of the updates would be that she got pregnant by him again, and so relieved that that was not the case. But did manage to knock someone else up, so he has that going for him. He pulled the baby daddy hat trick. It's shocking to me that Reddit didn't inform her that he was not actually seeing his daughter or going for bicycle rides all that time. And she didn't figure it out for herself when he just happened to start dating someone else right away, or when he stopped seeing his daughter with her because he was seeing someone new. I think it's funny that she thinks he's happy that he got a son. I don't think he gives a crap about any of his kids, regardless of sex. I hope she starts treating herself well. Her ex is a shitty partner and father of 3 kids now by 3 different women. What a winner there. He won't change. He'll just continue to be a selfish, immature loser. OP will move on to better things and hopefully find a real father for her kid. Before she hopefully finds a real father, I hope she waltzes her happy ass down to the courthouse to get a child support and custody order. She's clearly easily manipulated and has a really twisted sense of taking the high road or whatever. Let's hope a judge can put some common sense visitation and support in writing, at least until the next time the sperminator's bed gets cold and OP loses what's left of her self-preservation. I feel so sorry for the kids. Honestly, if that happens, then it is what it is. If she's not going to take the advice of the internet and do what is best to protect herself and her kids, then I don't think there's anything that Reddit yelling at her can and will do. For me personally, I hope there's no more updates, really. I hope she just, does the common sense thing, gets that visitation and support in writing, and she fixes what is broken in her life, and she stops talking to this bum. Really, that's what needs to happen, but common sense isn't so common these days, is it? And I do feel sorry for the kids. I feel sorry for all of those kids, that they have such a useless sperminator that keeps jumping around and has no care for anyone. I'm sorry this is happening to you, OP. I do hope that things turn around and get better at some point, because I do genuinely think you deserve so much better than what he has been putting you through. Thank you for the story, and thank you for the updates. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.